everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 12/4/25. We're here with Brandon Niblett today of the Cosmic Contact Conference, and we are actually going to now open this circle with in true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda, so that we may have this conversation in great understanding. And we ask for malevolent or mischievous type beings to be swept away, so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that and great blessings that we always send your way, we say so be it.
And so be it.
So be it.
So, Brandon, it's good to have you here today.
Yes, yeah,
Why don't you
awesome to
tell
be
the
here.
audience a bit about yourself and your conference.
Yeah, so my name's Brandon Niblett. I am a guy who had a spiritual awakening about 4 years ago. Um, Started out going to a local event called Karma Fest that I mysteriously somehow found out about through a flyer that ended up in my break room, which I still can't explain how it ended up there. But that led me to Karma Fest, where I met the person that I call my spiritual mother, Patty, just because of the dynamic of our relationship, her being an older woman and me being younger male. It feels very mother in past life, mother in this life. So I call her spiritual mother now. But I met her at Karma Fest, an event that she had been doing for the past 20 years around the Baltimore area. And interestingly, how we are connected to and how she started that event 20 years ago through a guy that actually used to know my aunt over in San Diego, all the way across the country. So Karma Fest started in with that 4 years ago after my awakening, and just knew that I'd found my home. It just everything about it. It was a metaphysical, holistic healing festival, and I just knew right when I was there that this is my tribe, these are my people. Um, a lot of remembrance coming through of galactic and past lives with those people. Um, and yeah, so I was volunteering with that event for the past like 3, 4 years, and knew the whole time that it was coming to a close, that Karma Fest was wrapping up its chapter. And I would even tell my partner that, I'm going to end up doing my own conference. And she was like, okay, yeah. And sure enough, that's how everything played out. So Patty retired Karma Fest, but her whole thing with it was to get the star seeds to do their own stuff. She was kind of just the prompter and giving people a space to find their gifts and share their talents and just discover who they are in that process of becoming and on the enlightened path. So she gave me a space to be able to speak, and I spoke at some of the Karma Fests. She actually gifted me a set of sound healing crystal bells that I did at one of the Karma Fests. So it was a multi-year festival. So she was doing it every year and then multiple events within the year. And one of those events was Winter Solstice, which is the one that I'm picking up now that she's retired Karma Fest. I'm going to continue on in the same location. So it's going to be at the Holiday Inn in Timonium, Maryland, where she's been doing a solstice event for the past, I want to say 5 years, 4 or 5 years. But I'm kind of coming in, being the newer person, the new starseed in it. So I'm adding the disclosure aspect in a way that hasn't been there traditionally, in that this conference is going to be all about cosmic contact. It's going to be about people's personal experiences with whatever cosmic contact that looks like, whether it be angelic, uh, extraterrestrial, Sasquatch. I've had a lot of his energy coming through, which is interesting because I've personally never kind of dug into that one. I've never gone down that rabbit hole yet. As a child, I was always intrigued by it, and there was always something there that I knew it was more than what met the eye. I knew that it was more interdimensional and shapeshifty in that way. But yeah, really excited about this conference that I'm doing and just all the aspects that are coming together for it. For me personally, Egypt is a very strong point in my spiritual awakening journey, and just the people that I've been meeting who are doing work over in Egypt, discovering the Hall of Records, which for me it ties a lot to Atlantis and the resurging of those energies and whatever lost technology.
Mm-hmm. I did notice this where, yeah, that's what I was told that that Egypt there was one of the outer edges of Atlantis. It was
Hmm.
and then when the disaster happened over there, that's what turned the area into a desert. So
Hmm.
back then, it was during the fight, basically Enki and Enlil's fight is
Yep,
essentially.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, and
Yeah,
you can find out where the two decided to duel, and then that all happened. So
yep,
yeah.
yep.
Eye of Sahara, that was the original city centrist point and
Hmm.
equator
Hmm.
there.
Yep, yeah,
And yeah, that's what I was able to figure out with
yep,
our. So
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that
I
was.
love that you've dug back into the Sumerian roots too, because that's exactly where I've gone back to, and it's yeah, Enlil and Enki conflict and how that's playing out even today. These two brothers in their rivalry.
Oh yeah, and here, even here in Virginia Beach, and I point this out to several people, the Neptune statue that's here, that's actually a
Yes.
depiction of Enki. That's a depiction of Enki. So
Yes, it is. So yeah, I was actually a special education teacher in Newport News, Virginia for a couple of years after college. So I used to go to Virginia Beach a lot during the summer. As a teacher, I would, had the summers off. So I'd always end up in Virginia Beach and end up right at that statue. And I always, yes, the Poseidon energies, the Neptune energies, it's Enki.
mhm. Most definitely, I've done multiple communications with him. So yeah, he
Wow.
always
Yeah.
basically says, yeah, avoid my brother, please. So it's
Yeah.
like.
Yep. Yep.
So, oh yeah, it's one of those. You're either team Engel or team Inky. So I've noticed.
Exactly.
So,
Yep. Yep. Hmm.
did you want to?
Oh, no, I just think that it's interesting. We've kind of said this before, that there are a lot of folks here that have had past lives in
Hmm.
Atlantis
Hmm.
or in Egypt. It
Hmm.
seems to be a healing time now versus
Hmm.
then, because there was such great warring and great problems and this, that, and the other. So people seem to be back to try to balance those energies
Hmm.
out.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so I think people could be what we say, there's always great benefit, whether you realize it or not. So you may just be a person who's like, I really want to go there. I really
Hmm.
want to go there. And just it's one of those, bucket list things. I really want to go and see
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
You may never realize that you may be going because you're balanced as you step your feet upon soils that you've been on before, that you're
Hmm.
balancing some energies out from things you won't even necessarily remember. The
Hmm.
oversoul knows what you're doing and the energetics you're doing. You may not even
Yep.
realize it. So we're always like, for people, or for some people here, they may be like, we want to go down to Mexico, or we want to go
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
and see those things there. And we're like, just go and do it. You don't have to know that you've
Right. Yeah.
done
Yes.
something before, that you're walking around to balance energies. One of the things, that we were in Arizona, and part of that Arizona was rebalancing of energies from experiences that had
In
happened
Japan
there
too, when I went
before.
to Japan.
And
Yeah.
so,
So.
well,
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Japan as well. But I'm just saying that, that's why, or in Europe, people are like, I got to go here, I got to go here, I got to do whatever. So, but Egypt and Atlantis, more than
Yes.
anything, I think are, for people of this part of the world, they are just more naturally tied to. So
Hmm.
it really is interesting. I think the archaeology of it now is getting really,
Hmm.
really interesting, where things, how old are they really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because things are ended up being way older than what people thought.
Hmm.
And people now being open-minded to the Sumerian text and
Yes.
some of these unbelievable, how could anybody regular built these, even the
Hmm.
conversations, you bring in the giants and
Yeah.
you
Yeah. The Nephilim. Yeah.
other things, that, I think people are becoming more open-minded to consider these conversations, that there really could be something to them, which is great. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I think it's kind of the perfect timing for the transition of the conference in
Yes.
what
Yes.
you're doing, because
Uh-huh.
again, I think people are now open to these conversations and pondering them, and
Hmm.
looking back, if they feel like they've been here before, could they have been here back? I just think it's great, but I think there's
Hmm.
something to, it's the right time, you know what I mean, for our conference and what
Yes.
you're trying to do. So that's really great. And we're glad to be there to help support it.
Yes, yes. I'm so looking forward to having you guys. I knew when I met you guys down at the Full Disclosure Now, I was just like, we're connected somehow, and it's in the future and it's in the past also. But yeah, really excited to have you guys there, and
Well, definitely.
especially for opening it, because I just really honor the way that you guys open a circle, and it's really important for a conference like this because I've gone to so many conferences now in the spiritual vein and also just in the secular with my work, going to a lot of different events. And when people come to these events, they're going through a portal and they're coming out a different timeline version of themselves, because when people's energies come together in that kind of way, a collective coherence happens and everybody is sharing from each other. And in music, the same way, in theater, and in all these venues where people gather, then something very spiritual is happening. And yeah, I'm excited to have you guys there.
Well, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
So as we did here, we're really big believers in, setting what we would call positive, benevolent intention
Yes.
to these
Yes.
gatherings, and also at the end, closing it off.
Yep. Yep.
And again, I don't think, again, it's really kind of interesting because one of the things, again, people can ponder and think about is the concept of, collective energies, people of like-mindedness, and what happens with that type of energy when it coalesces into something. And I think people do not realize how important they are at the being here at this current present moment to learn how to utilize these coalescing, co-creative energies that they have, and to learn how to do it for humanity's benefit rather than what's been done is
Right. They go.
energies for somebody else's benefit that is not necessarily for yours or humanity's good. So it's a skill. I think the challenging part right now that you've probably also noticed is, how do you grow a genuine, organic, benevolent unity? Because, it sounds easy, but it's
Yeah.
not. And so, but it's important, and it will take some time, again, because it needs to be true. It needs to be then organic, for not forced, organic truthfulness. And so what we're faced with is, what are those fundamental belief systems that we can all unify around? And so, believe it or not, even if there are people in your family that you don't normally talk about a lot, there probably are. So it's like, instead of getting down into the nitty gritty, you have to agree with me on every little nitty gritty. No, go out a little broader, and let's start with a broader brushstroke of what we all want and believe in. And then again, let the, as people would say, magic, because they can't see it, let the magic happens, and to watch how things change, because we are all desiring a different experience and we're desiring it together. And so I think all of these things, again, are big concepts, and that we all have to, work together with, to help people understand, to start that genuine unification process. And again, it's not about agreeing on everything, but about agreeing on certain fundamental basics, and then how do you work together and create that positive change. And it just, I find it interesting because it's something, at least from, I can say from my perspective, I think Chris would agree, it would be from our perspective, that we've been doing this actively since 2017, and we've been talking about these things. In all honesty, I can say that we knew that these were the challenges. What we didn't know was how brilliant, let's say, let's just call them opposing, more negative kind of energies, how brilliant they are. Because what has happened amazingly especially since 2020, what has happened is this full court press of division, separation. You agree with me 100%, or it's like, the brilliance of it all knew that the importance of this unity was going to be needed to build. And so it preempted to strike to destroy.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
amazing to me that, even though we've talked about this for many years, being here, boots on the ground, to see
Mhm. Mhm.
how all of this has been playing out and the challenges that we're all facing, with it, you have to tip your hat a little bit to those that, even, evil genius, let's say, what
Yeah.
I mean, that it really has known what it's doing. So, but yet the
Yeah.
hunger is still there. The desire to learn, the desire to grow and understand is still there. And so
Mhm.
these types of conferences, the one that you're, starting and doing some of these things, are just really so important. You know what I mean? They don't have to
Yeah.
be the biggest conference in the world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They need to be as truly the genuine,
Mhm.
authentic,
Yeah.
heartfelt.
Quality versus quantity. Yeah. That's what I've
Right.
noticed a lot. Yeah. It's not about the numbers. It's about the quality. And like you said, in the discerning of who you allow into that space. My aunt, she gave me a really good analogy, and you guys will meet her. She's actually coming over from San Diego to the conference, so excited to have her. She's been the one in the family who's been awake for a long, long time, and everybody's thought that she was just crazy. And yeah, moving over out west instead of staying over on the Eastern Shore with family, and yeah, just a very different lifestyle. But she'll be there, and she put it a really good way that I'm putting together like a really good fruit bowl.
Hmm.
And my part of it is that I have the bowl, the container, and I select the fruit, which are the people. And I really like that analogy because it's very true and it goes exactly to what you're saying. If I had one bad fruit in that bowl, what would happen to the rest?
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, so discernment in this process has been so key, and just really meditating on things before I give somebody an answer because I've had so many people reaching out about being speakers, about vending, and yeah. Yeah, it's been a very selective,
Had to
spiritually selective process. Yeah.
It's not easy and it's hard, because again, you're, as we say, one of the things that you may know about us is that we really don't like to talk about individual people because
Hmm.
we've been around so long and have experienced so much that we know that there are a few shysters. They know what they're
Hmm.
doing. They're
Hmm.
you know what I mean. They're going to try to worm their way in. But a lot of people don't know. They may not know of an influencing that's going on. They may not know of these things. They're genuinely good people. So
Yeah.
when you run in an event and you're trying to do the best you can to
Hmm.
provide
Hmm.
the best quality control that you can,
Hmm.
what you
Hmm.
just need to know about it is that my intention is just this. And
Yeah.
again, may not get it 100%, but as long
Yep.
as you lead with that intention and
Hmm.
trying to just do the best you can, for the people around you, that's all you can do because there are some really good, not
Hmm.
so good folks. They really are. And so it's
Yep.
a very difficult thing to try and do. So my hat's off to you for taking this so seriously. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Yeah.
spiritually try and do the
Yeah.
best you can do. And that's all you can do. And again, it's always all of this information, even from us, it's our
Hmm.
understanding and our perspective.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
all you can do. You give your understanding and your perspective. You leave information for a person to digest, choose not to
Hmm.
digest, whatever. And you just know that all I can do is my highest good and my highest intention. And
Yeah.
I know what I do know is that is who you are. So, I
Yeah.
know that you're doing your best and I know it's probably been quite challenging for you to do so. But I do have a question. So, and I
Yes.
asked this before because going from the Karma Fest, now
Hmm.
moving into this transition of,
Hmm. Hmm.
so if you had to say my goal or what I
Hmm.
wanted for folks to get out of this conference, to help them maybe consider a greater amount
Hmm.
of information. Have you thought about that? What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, so the big umbrella of it all is unity, and that just stems right from Karma Fest and just bringing people together. But more than that, I think too is like the networking within our vein of communities. Like I've always seen the differences between like the paranormal communities and the extraterrestrial communities, and not quite understood when we're talking about similar things. Why are they separated? So for me, kind of the merging of anything, of anybody with any, that's why I'm calling it cosmic contact, is because it doesn't have to be extraterrestrial. It can be of any form. And me personally, I like got into Christianity pretty heavy after high school. I didn't grow up in a religious household, but I got into it myself as I became a seeker and just started exploring. Um, where was I going with that?
Oh, got mind wipe a bit,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, got hit a
I
little
really, really,
bit.
you're saying you were explored Christianity and you moved on from that.
Yeah, what's I going with it?
Did your
The I
change your mind of anything about that? Or did you grow in a certain way?
Oh yeah, definitely grew. And just the unity aspect of it, that people can have different experiences. And for me, like the Bible, just it's riddled with extraterrestrial, I mean, interdimensional contact from the beginning to the end. And to me, that's so important. And for people to open themselves up to the possibility of angels, aliens, and just even fantasy, mystical, and anything within the realm of creation, because that's what it is. Even if it's not something another one can perceive, it's something that somebody else created, like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. They're all creations, and they have these giant fan bases, and they're more real than they are fake because they were created.
Oh
So
yeah.
for me, it's about the blending of all these things and just showing that reality and imagination aren't that far apart.
Right. I think when a lot of people really start exploring these areas, at least from what I've experienced and see people, it challenges them in their, let's just say,
Hmm.
religious belief system,
Yeah.
and the certain things, because what you'll start to see is patterns of history. Like the
Hmm.
Sumerian text, some of that is regurgitated into the Bible story.
Yes, the same stories. Yeah,
So it's an
yeah.
interesting thing that people are challenged with, because what we tend to say is that, some of the ways of how we interact and want to be within a community,
Hmm.
helpful, being a
Hmm.
community, that humans are really meant to be together, that in general, the bell curve of people that are born into this earth just are trying to have a decent life. They're not uncaring people. They care about their neighbors. They do all of these things. And so, I think people start to realize that I may not believe in all of the dogmatic ritual belief
Hmm.
systems of a particular religion, but if you cut down the middle of most,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
ways of being in general, and
Hmm.
forget the extremes of, there's a lot of extremes in every
Hmm.
religion, there's
Yeah.
extreme belief systems, but when you cut down the middle of most all of them, you find the exact same thing.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's a very interesting, I think, challenge for people that, have grown up and really been into a particular belief system, to be willing to take a step back and say, wait a minute. And I think what happens is that when conferences like this, when you start exploring, there's something bigger than just
Hmm.
us. That's
Yeah.
one of the areas that people are initially then challenged, because usually the religious belief system, for many of them,
Hmm. Hmm.
are only focused about humanity being on earth. This whole outer perspective or inner
Hmm.
perspective, if you believe in the introverse, or, it challenges everything. So
Yeah.
again, for anybody involved in this, I'm always like, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm never
Right.
like that. So as far as, let's just use Christianity,
Hmm.
people may have a hard time believing certain aspects of it,
Hmm.
but some of the things that are written in there about how to be, how to be with your neighbors, how
Mhm.
to bring stuff from within, seek from within, certain things about
Mhm.
them. And again, having a loving community that is genuine, authentic, and unified in doing good, whether that
Mhm.
be under a church steeple, a mosque, a
Yeah.
synagogue, it doesn't really matter. That's
Right.
the community of being just human. And so
Mhm.
what I feel is going to happen, this is just me making my own prediction,
Yeah.
is I think what's going to happen here over time as people really start to take that in, you're going to see more and more of good, decent leaders of these and other churches coming together to find a unity within the middle, to show
Mhm.
respect to
Yes.
one another, and
Yeah.
to respect to the people. And I think because, again, like I said, since 2020 and some of these differences, and there's just this tearing apart of everybody, I think, people are going to realize, again, what is that common thread that
Yeah.
can unify us. And then, and again, most of them are always going to be about treating people well, treating children well,
Mhm.
people deserve to have education, healthcare, those basic fundamental things of how, we should treat each other as human beings. And I think, even with those ideologies, so you to expand into these other
Mhm.
thought processes,
Mhm. Mhm.
you have to tackle that one too, because
Mhm.
you'll be challenged to expand it. But I'm always like, it doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I
Yeah. Yeah.
love Christmas. I
Yeah.
love this time of year. I
Yeah. We do too.
will try to be genuinely nicer. Sure, I wish it could last all year long, but I do believe that, we could take any holiday or tradition and we can, whatever its original intent was, it's about what is the intention in society now. And you can
Mhm.
take anything and change the energy dynamics to make it something good and positive, and whatever it was 20,000 years ago doesn't have to be what it means now. And so people are going to, that's a challenge that people are going to
Mhm.
have to face. And but it's a good challenge. It's a
Mhm.
good
Mhm.
challenge, you know
Mhm.
what I
It
mean?
is.
Because
Yeah.
again, you want that unity.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding that middle ground and just seeing that we're more alike than we are different, and that our differences are what make us beautiful. That's the unique beauty of each perspective, each fractal. Is it that? Yeah.
It's so funny because, of course, Chris and I, we do absolutely have had plenty of experience to foundationally believe, without a shadow of a doubt, a couple things. One of them being
Mhm.
is that, boy, we are not alone and humans aren't the only things around, right? All the way to believing there is no death,
Mhm. Mhm.
all of these things for us that have become really concrete. And when they do, your perspective on life really does begin to
Mhm.
alter a little bit. But we've had, some really fundamental things that have happened to us. And I think that, that's what ends up happening. If you open yourself up to more just with true intention, just want to know more about what is, then
Mhm.
experiences begin to open up to answer
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
question for you. People shouldn't necessarily be afraid. I think one of the things that we talk about a lot is the best thing that Satan ever did is get people to believe he didn't exist. Well,
Mhm.
darkness does exist. It really
Yeah.
is real. And, but we talk a lot about empowerment within that because, don't be afraid of something that's been around for hundreds of thousands and millions of years. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yep.
We're
Yep.
still here, we're still walking. And so
Yep.
how do we help people grow through that as well? So it's a lot. I think it's
Yeah.
a lot. So, I mean, you got to kind of baby step your way through that
Yeah.
kind of, growth and everything, which you obviously have.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you because you are always in a state of this just awe,
Yeah.
this wonderful state.
Uh-huh. The wonder child. Yeah.
Not of
Yeah.
fear, but of in awe, in
Mhm.
wonderment.
Mhm.
And, I actually think that that kind of state is actually kind of protective too. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? To not be
Mhm.
able to get too much into a fear state, which is really, really good, which is what we try to help people understand. Because again, if you watch too much media, that's what they're trying to do,
Yep, it's
utilize
all
it
fear.
into a
Yep.
fear. So,
Fear is, yeah, that's been their easiest mechanism to control. But
Mhm.
once love takes over,
yeah.
yeah,
What's love and awe and the realization? I'm assuming you've gotten to the realization it's not ending.
right. No, not at
Yeah,
all. Yeah.
even if your physical body sheds away,
Uh-huh.
you're not ending
That's,
anytime.
yeah, that's, yep.
And it helps. It helps to believe that. So I don't know if there's anything in particular. One of the things that we always do during our show is Chris is a channeler for people that don't know. We've been doing this for
Mhm.
many years. We always try to
Yeah.
invite somebody in to have conversation. I don't know if you're up for that, but
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Let me move inside though, just
Okay.
be a little less cold. Let me turn my camera off. I'll turn it back on in a sec.
Okay.
yeah, so anybody in that area of his conference, if you're able to come out for the weekend, come join us.
Mhm.
We'd love to see everybody and say hi. That was always nice, the Cosmic Contact Conference.
And I will do a, while he's off here, I will do a screen share of this. This is the Cosmic Contact Conference, January 10th and 11th, 2026 in Timonium, Maryland.
It's at a Holiday Inn, I believe there.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn, yep. And I just wanted to make sure everybody saw your flyer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Perfect.
now we'll get that off there. And also, that's interesting how you describe the unity because we have a phrase that we use for this purpose. It's tighter circle, deeper roots. And you actually
Mm.
are starting to, you're embodying that at your conference. So
Hmm. Hmm.
that particular idea, and that's also vetting what doesn't belong there, etc. So keeping what's the highest good and discarding anything that isn't. So
Right.
yeah.
And tighter circle, we're not saying limited necessarily.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
it means is that, again, that basic, strong
Hmm.
foundational belief system to
Hmm.
try and share amongst everybody, which then, again, is grounded. That's the roots, grounded by a group into, our earthly existence as a
Hmm.
unity. That kind of energy that comes from that. And that's what people should focus on. We
Hmm.
have to now shift ourselves to being able, what can we get along with? What do we get
Hmm.
along with? And just let the rest go in peace. And if you can do that, that's how these concepts of the tighter circle of belief systems growing deeper roots will really start to make foundational, changes, I think. And again, people that are older that are thinking,
Hmm.
well, I'm not in the game anymore. You're in the game. You have
Hmm.
co-creative skills. I always joke with
Hmm.
people, I'm like, if you're watching TV or watching the news and you're not saying no half the time, no,
Uh-huh.
this will
Yep.
not happen. No, I don't agree. No, this will stop. This is what I want. Don't think that collective energy can't grow in that, and everyone contributes, whether you realize it or not. So
Hmm. Hmm.
everyone here, old or young, their energies
Yep.
are participating in all this. So
Mhm. All right. I noticed your behind your head, the picture
Oh
of
yeah.
home on it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The
That was actually that was the symbol that caught my eye on the flyer that led me to Karma Fest, which led me to, finding my tribe, which led me to starting my conference. So
hmm,
yeah, it was that symbol, the Ohm symbol, really just something about it. It caught me, and that's kind of when the whole sacred geometry started too, where I
hmm.
began to be in touch with that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just like our symbol we use over here for the lifting on the wall back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep, your Merkaba. Yeah.
yeah, the down and the circles that are around it, those little
Uh-huh.
ringlets, are
Uh-huh.
basically connecting it via timelines that only the highest good took place within, and also the best possible outcome within the multiverse. See, the
Uh-huh.
Markaba, what it stands for is chariot, or it carries
Yep.
something.
Uh-huh.
So carrying those timelines like that, that's
The
essentially
vehicle.
doing an incorruptible timeline or set of timelines. So that's essentially what
Very cool.
that's doing. So we
Nice. So yeah.
retooled it to have the multiverse represented in there. So So yeah, let's see, who is, okay. Of course, I'm joking. Okay. Mm. Yeah, sometimes they interfere by poking my eye or making me choke or something. So, all right. So who? It's I believe it's Vesa that wants to talk here. So, okay, let's see here. Yes, this is Vesa, and my partner Lena and I wish to greet you this way. We will also be with them at the conference, as are a couple of the forest people, more than likely Levick and one other. But other than this, we also are going to be there. Our people of Lanulos also are going to be represented there. We have encouraged him to make different visages of ourselves representing. There's a couple of different groups that either have been misrepresented in the community or haven't been represented enough. Of course, Lanulos has, but not in its totality, even through the works of Woodrow Derenberger and his daughter Tunia. There are other angles to that story. The Velodians as well. They seem to be almost always present. They're the medical extraterrestrials. We are more dimensional and ET. We are the descendants of groups that came to Earth from Cassiopeia, but at the same time, we passed into a dimensional space that then eventually created its planetary construct that people know as Lanulos. So it's actually, people have it inverted. And also other races there, like some tall white races, and a little bit of Lyran, but we are mainly our own race, but there's also some mixes there as well. Actually, at this point, I'll just go straight into questions, if either of you wish.
Do you have any questions, Brandon?
So I've been hearing from a few people that it's going to be quite a few beings at the conference, which could that be part of why the physical numbers can't be higher, that it has to be limited because of the amount of unseen visitors?
You are correct. This is how it was at the other conference, much to some people's chagrin, because of the fact that some of the seats were being occupied by people such as myself. Uh,
Mhm.
Good, bad, and ugly, and all between. But you are also vetting this as well. So what is happening when you get down to tighter circle, deeper roots? The connections are more meaningful. Therefore, you will have more races showing up to speak, teach, and interchange not only information but pieces, looks of themselves, visages of themselves, etc. So this is why that it has been downsized for that particular reason. It should not go above a particular number. That can fluctuate from time to time, but there are windows. The window you have it in January is absolutely perfect. It's post solstice, but pre spring equinox, you see. So you're in the cross quarters in between there, you see. So it's actually a good space to have a conference such as this because it's carrying from one into the new year into the spring equinox later. So having it in that passage is actually a very good hammock, basically, to have it and having that tighter circle, deeper roots. Some people say that you have to have them right on the days, and that can help too if you want to have an enormous PowerPoint. But what you're doing is, how can I put this? Carrying, or like what he said about the Merkaba of the chariot, or the carrying from one place to the next, or one set of timelines to the next, etc. So you're in that corridor. That's actually a corridor that is much traveled via the energies, by different beings and different information. So it's some people do not put value in the cross quarters. So you have done so.
Thank
Very
you.
cool.
Yeah, and
Yes, thank you.
since did you want to ask anything since you're fascinated with Egypt or anything?
That's a very good question. I'm imagining that there must be some alignment that's going to be happening around January. I'm doing it 10th and 11th to have that 111 portal. And I know over in Egypt, a lot of the tours over there have been using these angel numbered dates. So I feel like that connection is part of that Egypt pool, is that a lot of groups have been doing special ceremonies at the sites on these. Like when I went over to Egypt in August, it was on Lionsgate on 8/8. And it seems that these numbers that we all seem to find ourselves synchronized by just play an important role in that. And I noticed too that the date of mine is if you do the numerology of it, it's kind of binary in the way it comes out. It's 011010. If you,
Hmm.
it's interesting that it's binary. Yeah.
That is, it's interesting, even though the number coding has been extremely over bloated by your three-letter agencies to convolute the meanings of number coding and such, and also some of your AI has convoluted it. There is something to be said, like I said, of the cross quarters in between, where you're essentially the passage. You are basically standing on that bridge so no one may pass kind of concept, you see.
Mhm.
So having it in that passage, and also the information surrounding Egypt for yourself. Yes, were you around in different times in Egypt, both good, bad, and ugly, and all in between? Yes, of course. You were there for the fall of Atlantis, but also were there in its, what's the term I can use? Heyday? Uh, and also you were there to see some of the bad things, and therefore you're here to turn it into some of the good things. Not romanticizing a past, but connecting to the true information. I hope this makes sense.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm. This,
Yeah, so this is an interesting concept about bring that up when we talk about the romanticization, because again,
Mhm.
people, sometimes, unfortunately, they don't in the current present moment realize how valuable they are right now. Current present moment,
Mhm.
stand here, boots on the ground, and
Mhm.
they start to kind of fantasize about maybe a time when they were there before. But it is truly a fantasy, because
bringing the good stuff forward from that time is fine.
right. But and the
Mhm.
fantasy is you don't have perspective of really what you were living in and a part of.
Mhm.
It is so
Mhm.
hard to bring in the memories of a whole lifetime of a certain
Mhm.
time. So one of the things that we tell people is, as what you're saying, is, trying to bring back the good or the community, or again, a spiritual sense. I think one of the things that they had back, let's just say back in the day, in a lot of these areas, were a better understanding about energies, the coalescing of energies, and different things
Mhm.
that were very real that somehow got lost, that we're
Mhm. Mhm.
now all starting to remember. So those types of things are beneficial to know right now when we talk about what good should be brought out, you know what I mean, of times from past that maybe were things that since then had been forgotten. But again, leaving some of the negativity, some of the domination and control problems and things like
Mhm.
that were happening in those time frames.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people, like I said, I do always find it interesting, and we've said it before, that there are a lot of people back from those particular times. And so, as you were just saying, I didn't know, maybe you could expand a little bit more to give people perspective about why are there so many people here now that really feel strongly, as they should, that maybe they were from those times.
Hmm. Yes. What has happened with even Egypt was part of Atlantis, you see, as was Hyperborea. That's where a lot of the Scandinavian uh, mythos is from, because the sons of Odin were also on Atlantis from having to leave Asgard. But at that time, this fault goes under Asgard. This goes under dimensional space. This goes under Soul Family. There is an affinity to these places because you, Brandon, have walked your own footsteps to resolve different, you would say karmic issues, but that's not necessarily accurate. It's more of a cause and effect. It's more of a resolution to certain energies. Yes, you have been tapping into some of the teaching energies, but at the same time, you are doing this because you are undoing certain things towards the end of Atlantis that weren't exactly kosher with how you are now. You were a polar opposite in that time frame. So what happens here is it pendulum swings to the other end to complete a cycle. This does not mean that you don't grab particular information out of that big file cabinet to present to the public, and also even some of the positive and negative stuff. Yes, talk about this, but then know when to move on to the next thing. You are tapping into this because you have this affinity of how you knew it to be before all you would say it all hit the fan. Let's just say you saw it in a time frame that was actually calmer before the descent fell into the Nile Valley, let's say. So in the pre-Osiris period, you were good, but then at the same time, you start to fall into a bit of descent and then regretted not being able to correct certain things in that post-Atlantean period. You moved on from there, trying to prevent other civilizations from going down the same road. When you passed on, your soul mission thusly became that. Therefore, you are here doing this. Does this make sense?
Yes.
And I think that's playing out for a ton of
A lot of people, yes.
Yeah, a ton of people. So again, I think again, if you can imagine back, when things began to the fall of everything, how unity wasn't, it was, it was ugliness, every man for himself, it was not good. So now a lot of us here are back now trying to reestablish, bring it back into full circle and bring that goodness and the unity and all that positive co-creation back. Because it was lost, and we've kind of been struggling ever since. And I think now is really the time where people are starting to, wanting to, heal all of that and bring all of that back. So, yeah. Anything else?
I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, thank you though. Spot on, very, very much spot on. And I kept thinking about Thoth as you were talking, because some of the stories about Thoth tie directly into what you were just saying as you were channeling.
Well, thanks. So I didn't know, again, not knowing, again, who exactly the audience is that's listening. Is there any final thoughts that you would like to share with people right now listening?
Yes, I know this pun is getting old, but they'll say final thoughts. No, I am joking. In this, I know the pun is getting probably very old, but in this, yes, what I would like to say is that the premise of tighter circle, deeper roots, as conferences like this are keeping a smaller number. If I could gauge a percentage or a number to be more accurate, I would say don't go above, say, maybe 200 to start with. Even if there is a little more to start with, kind of gauge it in between, say 1 to 200 in there. And make sure that then the information is, you'd say, divvied up amongst that smaller group. Therefore, it is digestible. Therefore, it then lights fires information in other places. If you start to do something like this, then it begins to spread with much greater ease. But if you widen the circle too much, then it will not. Even though it is a more of a noble precept, as what was said in one of your movies one time, some people's circles are encompass many, many more, meaning you're caring about more people. This does not equate to the same ideal. Tighter circle, deeper roots is basically saying that you're keeping your soul family closer, you're vetting better, and also you are able to get the proper and more vetted information out there. So I hope this helped.
Yes, thank you so much.
As any other further
I
questions?
don't think so. I think we're good. Thank you for coming in.
Okay, so thank you everyone, and I will withdraw now. My partner Elena and I will definitely be around there with a group of Lanyalosians, and we are attempting to garner communications for our group again, very much like we were doing in the 60s, or our people were doing in the 60s. So I will take my leave. So thank you, everyone. All right. Yeah. Yeah, she and her partner are blonde, brunette, Nordic types.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually what I was. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay. Uh-huh.
I don't know why I'm describing them. This is them right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh, and they're Lonulosians, so if anybody's irked by the nudity thing, that's their custom.
That's their thing. Yeah, right.
So that's their
Yep.
thing. So they
Uh,
said they were communicating at this time in history on that type of subject to kind of reset the clock, basically, on how people felt about that sort of thing.
uh-huh.
It had
Uh-huh.
gotten worse so over the centuries, and
Yep,
got
yep.
so they figured, okay, we can turn the clock back and actually show people why this is this way.
Hmm.
And the fact there are cousins related to us, they wanted to show how that came about, everything. So we had asked the question many times, like, why now at this really rocky point in history where people would scoff the most at something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they said, well, why not? This is if it's at its worst, this is the point that
That's the time, right?
time.
Yep.
So yeah, this has actually been pretty cool. Brandon, do you have anything to say?
Yeah. No, yeah. Thank you for having me on. It's been awesome.
Okay. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching this episode of The Lifting. This has been a pleasure with Brandon Niblett here. Please go to his conference January
Yes.
10th and 11th. It's going to help out greatly. We will be there doing the opening blessing and a talk there, and more than likely about the forest people, but we'll see how that goes. And
Yeah.
we'll also be selling our merch and check out what everybody else has to offer there too. So at this point in time, I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye now.
Thanks, everybody.